All right, welcome to Dre's Talks. I'm sending you all lots of amazing energy, wisdom, and just positive vibrations. Today, we're going to be going into an amazing topic, a life changing topic, one that I know will be so valuable for you all. And especially if you're in a situation in life where maybe you aren't feeling like you're in control, maybe you're feeling as if life is controlling you rather than you controlling it. And what we're going to go into today has to deal with one thing and one thing only, and that is the mind. All right, because ultimately, if we look at some of these principles of spirituality, life, just our reality as a whole, there's a source to everything, and it starts from your perception of reality, your mind. And there is a lot that goes into the subject about how to master your mind, and what I'm calling is just take back your mind and start winning at life. That's what the presentation is about. So I'm going to go into a lot into this subject that will surely be life-changing for many of you. Maybe this is your first time experiencing some of this information. Maybe some of you who are more versed in some of these studies and gnosis will have a better grip and maybe perhaps a reminder to you to apply these principles. So either way, I think there's a lot of value to be had. And this is typically what I'm going to be doing in the Patreon every Sunday. And I will be posting this video on Patreon as well. But since we're really new to social media in this Dre's Talks movement, the Talks community, it's something that I feel I should just share publicly for free of any subscription or just paid model based on like how Patreon will work, because I think I want to just get the word out, share the vision, share with you guys what this movement is about. And it's really about increasing the wealth of mind so that you can increase the wealth of your world. So let's go into it. All right. Take back your mind and win at life. All right, and let me just make sure we're recording here before I go. Okay, we should be good. All right, let's run it back. So take back your mind and win at life. This is what it's all about in terms of actually living a life of purpose, living a life of meaning, living a life that is felt in success. And I'll get into this term of success briefly through this presentation and what success actually is. But if you do not have control or discipline over your mind, most likely it will control and rule you. And even further, someone who controls their own mind and discipline their own mind is going to find a way to utilize you for their purpose. And that's what you see a lot, right? Like you see, it's like if you're not using it, you're probably being used. And that's kind of why I want you guys to really tune in and take notes in this presentation, because this will allow you to take back your power. Take back your power, and your power is your mind, okay? Obviously, there's a connection between mind, body, and spirit, and I will touch on these topics too, more related to mind and spirit. Perhaps we can talk into more physical work into the future, fitness, nutrition, health, but ultimately for this presentation we're going to be focusing more on mind and spirit, but mostly directing our mind to win at life. So let's get into it. So to master the external, the world, you must master the internal. This is just a basic law of the universe. This is not really anything outside of universal law, okay? And this goes back to King Solomon, Proverbs, goes back to just so much ancient text, ancient wisdom describes this as the meaning of how to actually start to live and manifest a life that your heart desires, that your mind can reflect as something that is meaningful to you, right? Because ultimately, I think all of us are looking for meaning in life. We're looking for a sense of purpose, drive, mission, and that is what really it all starts with, is knowing your direction. But how can you know direction when you're looking the wrong way. You're looking outside of you when the direction is inside. And if you don't have control over your mind, again, this world will seem out of your control. You'll kind of feel as if you're just a leaf blowing with the wind of life versus actually growing into a strong tree. So this is a quote from Proverbs. It says, as water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. Okay, and I'm going to go into this subject of mind and heart connection because the heart has a big role in the mind and how this whole thing operates, okay? And that's really important. But basically, in essence, as water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. It's just giving meaning to what your external world and your reflection of your external world is a representation of your internal world, your heart, your mind. And that's kind of the subject of this video, is a lot of you are chasing material when you should be chasing wisdom and spiritual guidance and internal truth that will actually allow for you to have way more, and not just have more, but hold on to more. And I'll go into my own personal story that will give more reason to why it's more important to master the internal versus trying so hard to chase and master the external. So, and it has to deal with the law of correspondence. Here's another spiritual text from Hermeticism, and it deals with this subject of how your external or physical world is a reflection of your inner world. So what's this mean is, if you want to change your life, you have to change your inner world, your thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. And that is the basis of everything, right? And it's this term that's used, and a lot of people may know this, but it's as above, so below. It's used in the Bible. It's used in almost every spiritual text there is, where practically it's what's outside of you is just a reflection of what is inside. And if you feel like you're not finding the right opportunities for your life, maybe you're missing opportunities, maybe you have something and you squander it, right? It's nothing that has to do with the external, it has to do with the internal. And that's the whole point of this, is by mastering your mind and really honing in on this idea of correspondence, so to speak, you'll be able to just become a king. You'll become the king that you were born to be, right? And ultimately, it's the people who decide they're king, right? But you have to be in that position to withhold that power that is really divinely inspired. And if you aren't able to manage your internal discipline, then whatever happens around you surely will not be disciplined as well. And that leads to the next idea here, building off of correspondence, is you have to change how you think to change your reality. Your thoughts are currency. It relates to what's called the law of opulence, which deals with the mind of things, by a gentleman named Wallace Wattles. Wrote these ideas quite some time ago. And pretty much what the law of opulence has to deal with is this like highest form of wealth, and how it all comes from the mind of things. It comes from the mind. It comes from your thoughts, which create feelings, which ultimately establish your reality. So if you're feeling a certain way and you're living a reality that is a certain way, you can use this method of thoughts, feelings, reality to kind of trace back what's going on. And ultimately, by changing your thoughts, you change your reality. You change your feelings, which then change your reality, right? So if you're feeling a certain way and your reality is miserable, or it's not going how you wish it was to go, you have to focus on your thoughts as the source, because your thoughts is currency. Currency is energy. Currency is like the ocean current. It's up and down, ebb and flow. But as Jim Rohn would say, you have to make the best of both, right? So, but thoughts are currency. That's the idea here. And if you can fix your thoughts, you can ultimately change your feeling state, which will allow for a more abundant reality. And this goes for even if you are having poor thoughts, you'll have poor feelings, which will lead to a poor reality. If you have rich thoughts, you'll have rich feelings, which leads to a rich reality. So super simple, but I hope this is making sense. And ultimately, how do you change this? Through self-awareness. You have to be aware of how you're feeling. That's literally the starting point of all this, is have and recognize the feeling states that are limiting you in your life, right? By doing this, you have your feelings journal, or you can call it your errors journal. However you want to put it, you can find your own lingo to this, right? Maybe where you, like the error journal is where you write when you feel like things are going wrong in your life. You write down through the awareness that you have why, so you can see. But ultimately, you want to document your feeling states in your life, because if you're living a certain way, there's a definition too that I don't have by Albert Einstein in here, but it's along the lines of, if you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's called insanity. You have to change. You have to have awareness. You have to really humble yourself to see the truth. And I'll get into kind of how to do this as well. But you limit, like, you have the awareness of your limiting feeling states, is what I was getting at. And when you identify that, now you can start to see how to change it. And there's this idea to change your life. You have to change your life. It's so simple, but we make it so hard, right? There's another quote, right? It goes, it's very easy to make things hard, but it's very hard to make things easy, right? So I hope this is making sense. I hope this is being of value to you. But self-awareness is the starting point if you're living a life that's miserable. And if you are living an amazing life and you're watching this, then these are just more points, because your job now, it's not necessarily your job, it's more of like a higher divine duty, is to service others with your wisdom. And by doing that, if you are rich, you will become richer by enriching others. And a lot of people don't have this mindset. And even if you become rich in the material, you can be poor in spirit. And ultimately, that can lead to its own manifestation of problems. So to change your life, you have to change your life. Have self-awareness, and then start to write down what it is that you need to change. And I always like to start with affirmations. And again, there's so much to cover on this, but this is just a starting point for you guys to just rather have the awareness of your issues, to make the changes that you have to decide for yourself. But ultimately, I'm just wiping the the fog from your mind, helping you remember these principles that you already know, right? We all know this. It's nothing new under the sun. It's just I am I am the water that hits your face in the morning, right? That's all I'm being right now. Use limitation, I'm moving too quick. This is the next thing about learning and adapting to this new change. Like, how do we learn and know what it is that we need to change? Once we identify our feelings, what should we do to really master change and this art of change? And it comes down to imitation. Imitation in essence is art. It's creativity. It breeds creativity. It breeds art, might be a better way of putting it. And art allows for growth, change, just innovation. And ultimately, that's what you're doing with your life. Your life is an art form. Your life is a piece of art. You are art. You can't spell heart without art. You can't spell earth without art. Earth and heart are interchangeable with their letters, right? So I like to teach imitation to people I work with, to people, my own experience of life. I find that imitation is not bad. People will say imitation is a negative thing, but I think if you copy and plagiarize, that can be negative. But if you embody qualities in the essence of greatness, It's almost as if you are a baby looking to learn how to live, walk, talk by imitating your parents. So you learn how to be just a functioning human being by imitating as a child. And that doesn't end. Imitation is how we learn. I like making music. And part of my music learning process that's allowed me to make better music for myself is I imitate what inspires me. And that's what I want you guys to do, is embody the quality and mindset of your greatest inspirations. Imitate, build, make the qualities your own. Take the words, the phrases, the energy, the embodiments, the qualities of the success of your inspirations, and visualize them being yours, but being you build on them. And a lot of people don't know this, but Van Gogh, one of the greatest, more renowned artists of recent time, was a huge imitator in how he developed his art process, right? And what ends up happening over time is people just see what it became versus the process. And the process is the most important part of your journey, your life, right? Like, life is the process, the journey, but people just want to see the end result. But when you get too caught up on the end result, you can lose sight of what it's actually about, which is learning, growing, the process. Because your inspiration is guiding your mind to truth. And that's a point I wanted to come across and lead into the next slide. But ultimately, Billie Jean King said it best: to see it is to be it. If you can see greatness, you can become greatness. And using imitation will allow you to really embody those qualities and start to learn how to be great. Like, it's very important, I believe. And not everyone will agree with this, but I think it's very valuable. But your inspiration is what is telling you what to imitate, right? Like, what inspires you when you get chills on your arm when you hear a song or see someone that you look up to, whatever it may be. That's God speaking to you through your heart and telling you, hey, there's something in this that's in you, and I want you to shine this light and learn from what you're seeing, learn from what inspires you. And that's where I go into this about inspiration is life source. It's life source. It's source energy. Essentially, it's God. Spear equals breath. It's what gives life. Inspiration gives life, and it's what allows you to learn what you need to do to give life to others. Because if you can give more life, essentially you will seek more or attain more life in return. And this all has to do with our internal framework, right? Like the as above, so below, as within, so without. The water is a reflection of our heart, or the reflection of our face in the water is actually the truth of what's in our heart, right? So these are just tips and just knowledge and wisdom to help you build your internal. That's all I'm getting at here, right? And inspiration is the source of life. It's breath. Without breath, there is no life, right? It breathes life. And spear is the root word, right? Like inspiration, spira, spear. So just some wordplay, but to give you guys a sense of just knowledge and wisdom to see how to actually become what you're born to become is by looking at inspiration as a guiding source for your life, to then imitate what inspires you, embody those qualities, and ultimately sharpen your mind through the embodiment of that, right? So, and inspiration is an internal calling. It's feeling within. It's the feeling state. And we ignore that, we're ignoring our higher self. I hope this is making sense. I know this is kind of some deep metaphysical approach, but and here's the mind where it gets you, right? This is kind of, now we're looking at some limiting forces of our own minds, and overthinking is a huge detriment. And I just wanted to go into this because this will lead into my next point relating deciphering the mind from the heart and how to use and intertwine both. But overthinking kills a lot of people's purpose, mission, life. Again, there's so much that goes into this. This is just planting seeds for you guys so you can water your own plants and start to see what you need to do to take this wisdom and apply it to your life. But if you're a chronic overthinker, what is happening is you're frozen in time and thought, and it's limiting your action. You're not taking action. That's what overthinking creates in people's lives. It's you get frozen in thought, and you think you're tricking yourself to thinking you're moving forward by thinking, but really you're not, because there's only one way to grow, and that's by taking action. And if you take action, even if you feel you don't know what you're doing, you're going to learn. You're going to learn. And the sooner you take action, the sooner you get to the end result. And you can start to be more prepared, more proficient, more advanced in your process, because you have all that experience of failure, right? I have one of my friends is mentor who makes millions of dollars a month. And I got to speak with him, and I asked him, what is it that you do that got you there? And he just said, I fail more than anyone else. So look at failure as something that you fail forward with. Fail forward. It's a positive thing for you to continue to fail and learn. It builds wisdom, it builds knowledge, and you only attain that knowledge by taking action. And if you don't take the action, ultimately you'll never truly learn, because you can read everything from a book, but that's someone else's truth. You have to apply the knowledge to make it wisdom, and then you can start to build your own truth that will inspire others, breathe life into others, because that wisdom is building your own truth and internal being and knowledge base, right? Because it's all about your mind and internal growth. And when you are aware of it and you're taking the action without overthinking and clouding your mind, thinking about too many things, you really sharpen the blade of your internal essence, your being, because you have data points. You have that feedback loop of what works, what doesn't. And this is all about building the internal, right? That's what this whole presentation is. And I just wanted to preface overthinking because I know this is a huge problem I used to face as well. And I know so many are. So what's the answer here is to use your mind to direct towards your heart's desires, right? And that's going into the next phase of how to really get out of overthinking and find what is actually what you're meant to do. Because when you're overthinking, you're most likely looking at multiple avenues, multiple options. And when you use your mind and direct it towards your heart's desires, that's actually the correct way, in my opinion, of moving all the noise out, like clearing the noise that's in your mind and seeing what's actually there, right? So it's like a cloudy day. You're moving through the clouds to find the light. That's the sun. The sun is your heart. And the clouds are your overstimulated, exceeding thoughts that are trying to comprehend and protect you. I don't need to talk anymore on this. You guys get the point. So direct your mind to your heart. Know the difference between what is speaking to you. Is it your heart or is it your mind? All right, this is super important on your journey. Ultimately, we know one thing, that above all else, action is the most important. But this will help you just learn what your truth is, because your heart only knows love and truth. Your mind will project fear and all these other things. So you have to follow your heart's desires, but you have to use your mind to turn that into reality. So just some analogies to give you guys a point here of what's actually going on. Your heart is the GPS that gives your mind the directions to drive. Your heart is the music that gives your mind the opportunity to dance. Your heart is the movie script, the screenplay. It's the act, or it's the screenwriter that's giving you the script for your mind to then act. Sorry, I hope that makes sense. But that's kind of some analogies to give you an understanding of like what is what. And ultimately, control the mind or it will control you, right? As I said, but you listen to your heart and you discipline your mind. And that's kind of the key to this, because this will make it all sort of come together here. When the mind speaks fear, the heart speaks faith. When the mind speaks anxiety, the heart speaks peace. When the mind speaks doubt, the heart speaks trust. Okay? Is this starting to make sense? Because your mind will project into the future. It'll project from the past. It'll discombobulate all this stuff that's going on around you. But your heart is telling you what's now, what's actually real in the moment. And that is why you need to direct your mind, because your mind is the tool. And if it's not disciplined, it will control you. It'll control your life. But a disciplined mind lives in a disciplined world. And ultimately, you discipline your mind to follow your heart's instruction manual. Your heart has the instructions for you. So this is, again, all directing to how to use your mind, take back your life. And you're using your mind as an engine to power your heart, because your heart is the truth. So I hope this is all making sense. I'm sure for a lot of people this might be a little too much. But ultimately, I think for those that have the ears to hear, this is planting an amazing foundation. Or those that have the ears of leadership, who are walking in that leadership role, are going to take this and begin to help and inspire those who are looking for the wisdom, right? And that's the whole idea of this, is take this knowledge, information for what it is, make it your own, and help people. There's no gatekeeping. There's no like, this isn't even secret. There's texts, ancient texts. All this information has already been out for thousands of years, if not more, right? So discipline your mind to follow your heart's instruction manual. If you're not in control of your mind, it's going to be in control of you. And then you're going to be looking at your world thinking that your fate was shit, when really it was just you didn't have discipline over your mind. So this all goes to the point of really hone in on your internal state of being, and you will start to experience an enlightened and more powerful external state of being. So what is success? What is success? All right. It's a feeling state. It's a feeling, literally nothing more. You could have many ways to look at what success is. We tend to, in society, look at success as this idea of, hey, we need money, we need a big house, car, that's success. But really, it's more about a feeling. You can be climbing up the mountain of your life and have milestones, like we mentioned with the goal gradient effect, right? Where you're setting these smaller milestones to keep you motivated on your journey without giving up. Where you can feel success along the way, because success isn't really an end goal. There is no end. Every end is just a beginning. It's just a loop. It's what we call the Ouroboros. It eats its own tail. The snake continues to eat its tail. There is no end. Okay? So your feeling state is this present moment. Like the feeling that you feel in the present moment equates to success. And that's why it's so important to focus on thoughts, emotions, and energy that creates the feeling states of your desired life in this moment. And this has to deal with the law of assumption, which is Neville Goddard's work, where he goes into how you have to actualize the feeling state in the present moment. So whatever feels like success to you, if it is like a family, you see a vision that brings you joy, brings you happiness, enlightenment, you have to actualize that feeling state in the present moment, right? You have to really internalize what that would be in this moment and start to operate in that frequency. And now you become successful. You're operating in that success, abundance frequency, right? So that's very important, because remember, we go back to what we originated at the beginning, is your thoughts lead to your feelings, which create your reality. So if we back it up even more, you have to focus on the thoughts, right? It's so important. You create affirmations, you write down things. You can utilize the Nikola Tesla technique 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times at night. Ultimately, and you're writing down affirmations. And ultimately what that does is it just wires your brain to create the right feelings that are required in the present moment to assume your desired life. I hope this is making sense, but again, it goes back to one principle. It's your internal state of being that creates your external reality. You discipline the world within, you'll have a very structured and aligned world without. And it's just a reflection. It's all a mirror. So here we go. We're almost wrapping up here. Your chase of external riches, wealth, and possessions is what's holding you back. Seek understanding and wisdom above all riches. A disciplined mind creates a disciplined world. Riches given without knowledge will be taken just as fast as they are earned. Okay? What's the moral of this entire presentation? Seek wisdom. Seek the internal knowledge. You get this internal knowledge by learning every day, by taking action, by looking within, by changing your thoughts, right? Everything that's occurring in your life, you're gaining wisdom from on an internal level to elevate your state of being. And you do that by changing how you think. And if you can successfully do this, you'll be able to handle wealth. Because why do people, what's holding people back from attaining wealth is their ability to present to the universe, God, whoever, the right frequency and state of being that can actually hold on to it, that can keep it. It's sometimes it's easier to make it and harder to keep it. If you give the wrong person a lot of money, that same person, right, will lose it just as fast as they made it. And I have been in a situation in my past, I'm not going to go into too much details, but I've experienced this as well when I first made my first big amount of money that I made in my life. Perhaps I can do a separate video on this eventually, but I don't want to get too far out of what we're talking about here, but it's a good example. I made a great sum of money in a very short period of time, most money I've ever had in my life at the time, and I lost it just as fast because I did not know this knowledge and wisdom. But by doing that the ill-advised action that cost me to lose the money was what was necessary for my own soul to learn this lesson, because it was still an action. It was still a opportunity, and your mistakes are opportunities. All right, guys, just remember that. And if you take this wisdom and apply it, you'll start to see that where the time you may have felt was wasted, not spent correctly, the mistakes you made, the pain that you underwent, were actually just the soul work for you to be here in this moment listening to my words, to start to build that internal mental discipline, to start to strengthen not only your mind but the world that you live in. Have more wealth, have more prosperity, have more to give. And that deals with the law of circulation. Kind of what comes around goes around. If you give more, you will naturally over time receive more, and even it goes beyond that, because the value of what you give is really what is returned on the other end of the spectrum. So, and that's where the wisdom comes in. Wisdom allows you to be valuable in society, a valuable person. So I hope this was valuable for you all. Please like and subscribe. I'm super grateful for this opportunity to share my truth, my wisdom, my life experience, and package into something that I hope has utility, something you can take home with you and start to improve your guys' lives. Thank you for your patience of this presentation. I really hope that it was valuable for you all. I'm really grateful for all the support. Please like and subscribe, and you can go ahead and join my Patreon as well. If you want to support my work, I'm going to be posting this video on Patreon as well as YouTube. But going forward, as I continue to grow, there's going to be very exclusive dialed-in presentations on Patreon that aren't going to be anywhere else. And I am very grateful for any support of my work. I feel as if this is what the world needs, and the world needs you, right? And that'll be my final remarks. The world needs you. The world needs your best self. It needs your highest version, your greatest form, to shine, to share, to create, to inspire. Because we're all here for one another. We're all here together. It takes all of us. So, and that's what it's meant for. We're social creatures, end of the day. We're meant to bring each other up, and there's so much abundance. There's no reason for anyone to live in scarcity, for anyone to live in lack. The resources of this world are infinite. So, much love to you all. Much gratitude. Like and subscribe again. If you want to support the work, I have Patreon. And I'm grateful for you all joining me today. Much love.